What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another video. My name is Franco Torres. I'm a guitar player based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and today on Mucho Tone we are talking about the new update of, hopefully you guessed it, the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. It's a CorOS 3.3 update, and let's take a listen to it before we even talk about it, and then actually come back and chat a little bit more about it. So for the most part, what you just heard are all of the newest blocks, or most of the newest blocks within the Quad Cortex. The guitar that I'm using is a Gibson Les Paul, and so amplifier is actually the Dumble, which is super cool. And then there's like some effects in there, like the pattern tremolo that I'm using, the synths, which is super exciting because I mean we've been wanting synths blocks on the Quad Cortex forever, and it's super cool to see that they actually figured it out and that it's here, right? So I'm gonna actually read a little bit off of their website as far as like what came out and whatnot, just to kind of like chat a little bit about it, right, before we kind of just go into the thoughts and a little bit more of a demo. But yeah, essentially there's new captures, a bunch of new captures, including some Ampeg stuff, some Mark-based stuff. There's a couple of different amplifiers, the Dover amplification, Driftwood amplifiers, the Overdrive Special by Dumble, which is super cool. There's a new angle in here, the Savage, Savage 120, which is super dope, and a bunch more. I'm kind of like just again gonna go over them a little bit Again, this is something you can read, right? There's new compressors on here, the Bogner Harlow, which is super cool. There's a dark glass compressor in here. The Origin Effects Kali 76, that's super cool. I might just have to compare it with the actual pedal because I do have it. That's a classic pedal for sure. There's a bunch of new fuzz pedals, the Beehive Wasp, which is basically based out of the Beatronics Vespa, which is super dope. There's the Love Pedal Believe in here. There's an Ibanez Fuzz. There's a couple of other Love pedals actually, the Fuzz and the Tone Bender. The Maleko Bassmaster, which, yeah, I gotta try that one out. And then a bunch more. And then there's a bunch of new virtual devices, right? Particularly in the most important, like I already kind of like mentioned it, the Dumbbell ODS, which is based out of the Dumble Overdrive Special. That's super cool that they, came with this on the Quad Cortex. They also added a couple blocks that are based out of the Two Rock cabinets, which I think is super cool and pairs very well with the actual amplifier. I played a couple amplifiers that are like, Dumble based, or hell, I've played an actual Dumble, and I can actually say that. I played Paul Reed Smith's actual Dumble, and that's insane to say. But I've played a couple amplifiers that are, like that, right? And this gets super close, and I'm super stoked to actually have that kind of sound in here, right? Because there's different ways that you can kind of achieve it, but actually having a block that's based out of that makes a whole difference, just because it makes it easier for you as a tone chaser or as a guitar player building a preset, because essentially now you don't have to use two different overdrives to push an amplifier to get to that sound, right? You just get it there, and now you can mix and match a bunch of different sounds on here. Now we also do get the mono synth. It's basically a section of the synths on Rabius plugin. That synth is pretty much based out of a Moog, and there's a bunch of oscillators on here. This one is a mono version of all of that, and it's got two oscillators. You can fix them to be different voices, and you can kind of get a couple different things going on. So the way that I've got it set up on one of the videos that you're going to see shortly is that the expression pedal is actually ramping up the tuning stability to make it just glitch the hell out, and then kind of like fading in the actual synths while I'm doing that. So if you're riffing, you can just kind of like continue to riff and then use that just to create self-oscillating noise. There's a couple new effects added as well. Microprocessor based out of the Eventide micro pitch delay. Pattern tremolo, which I'm actually using on the intro demo on the guitars. There's a phase locked loop, which is based out of the Earthquaker Devices data corruptor. A couple big crushers on here. There's a 1981 Inventions DRV. That's super cool if you are looking for that, you know, that really nice colorful overdrive. I think that's super dope. There's an Aguilar optimizer, a couple of reverbs, which are just Spring Reverb engines on mono and stereo, and an auto wah. And then, of course, there's a bunch of other changes that are more kind of like user interface, whereas like now we've got a different way of looking at the libraries and different way of looking at the folders. And then they added a bunch of other things within like the actual like auto set switch removal. But yeah, I'm not going to talk more about it. Let's listen to it a little bit more and you come to your own conclusions. This is the more phase locked loop, which is based out of the Eventide. So this is the Beehive Wasp Fuzz on the Quad Cortex. This is one of the new fuzz captures on the Quad Cortex. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this kind of content, consider liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. All that kind of stuff actually does help more than you think. And hopefully I'll see you guys on the next video.